Hi friends, this is Mental Health Memo. I'm Sveti, this here is Cookie, and today's memo is that we're talking about the brain, we're talking about evolution, we're talking about a lot of things that most people don't care about, but I'm a nerd and I am so excited. So today we're going to talk about what is a panic attack. Let's start with why we have panic attacks. Now, this is not to be confused with a different why we have panic attacks. There are a lot of environmental and psychological, genetic, cognitive reasons why you might be experiencing panic attacks. But for the purposes of this video, we're talking about the evolutionary reason why we have panic attacks. What do they serve for us? Why do they exist in the first place? Why can humans have them? So panic attacks are basically the fight, flight, or freeze instinct in our body, and this instinct is actually incredibly essential for our survival. It's the reason that we as humans have been able to survive for so long. So this instinct gets triggered when our mind feels like we are in danger. So it assesses the situation, realizes we're in danger, and basically has to make a quick instinct decision on whether we should fight the danger, flee the danger, or freeze. And it'll base that decision off what it feels like will ensure that we are alive and what seems like will be the best option. So in our cave people days, this instinct will kind of look like you're going out to hunt for some food and you encounter a big scary bear. You realize that you're only wearing a tiny piece of cloth to cover your privates and you have like a stick in your hand. And so your brain is like, okay, we're in danger. It seems we can't defend ourselves, so I think that we should run. And that would be the flee option. Alternatively, if you had like a good spear, is that what they're called? A spear? I think so. If you had a good spear, if you were very like strong and the bear was like a baby, maybe you could fight it and then your brain would be like, okay, let's fight. And lastly, it's also possible that your brain is like, you know what, we're gonna be safest if we just freeze. I mean, I don't think in this circumstance you might freeze, but you never know. It's kind of like an instinct, so who knows what'll happen. Like I said, this instinct is the reason that we have been able to survive for so long. And you might think that because we don't really hunt animals anymore, really, I mean, depending on where you live. And we don't really have bears just casually roaming around, or maybe you do. I don't know where you live, but where I live, we don't. We do have random coyotes though. However, we are not kind of experiencing the same dangers as our ancestors did that kind of created this response, this instinct of fight, flight, or freeze. However, we do still have this instinct in us. So an example of it in modern times could be you see a car really driving a little weird and looks like it's gonna hit you. So your instinct, your fight, flight, or freeze instinct is going to get triggered there. Now the problem is when anxiety disorders, just like generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, OCD, phobias, anxiety in general, and other anxiety and panic disorders, you are having these panic attacks in situations that should not elicit the fight, flight, or freeze instinct. I'll give you an example. I personally have nocturnal panic attacks. Nocturnal panic attacks are basically when you have a panic attack when you're sleeping. Now, I don't know about y'all, but sleeping is the most peaceful thing in the entire world. Why on earth am I having panic attacks during the most peaceful thing on earth, where I am not threatened in any way because I am sleeping on my comfortable bed with my lovely dog, and I am at peace, I am calm, but I still have a panic attack? You can see in that situation, there is no reason for me to be experiencing that panic attack, but I experience it either way. And that's kind of where the disorder part comes in. I'm so salty, y'all, that I get nocturnal panic attacks. You have no idea. I'm just sleeping there, enjoying my peaceful, restful half death from Earth, and then I just wake up into a panic attack. Why? I'm salty as hell. So now that we know what panic attacks are strictly in evolutionary terms, let's discuss what happens during a panic attack, symptoms of panic attacks, signs of panic attacks, and what you might be feeling when you have a panic attack. I realized that this frame might look a little different. My battery died and I had to reset everything up. So sorry if there's a random shift in the frame. I'm crooked. Am I crooked? I feel like I'm crooked. So this is the part where we get a little bit brainy and neurological, and this is kind of my favorite part. So when you have a panic attack, the amygdala gets triggered in your brain. The amygdala is kind of like the fire alarm for your brain and your body. It tells you when there is danger. If I had to use an analogy for the amygdala, it would be that scene in The Office where Dwight does a fake fire drill and Michael comes out of his office and it's like,
"Oh my God, okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm. Wait. Everybody calm down."
Michael is the amygdala. So when the amygdala gets triggered because it thinks that you are in danger, a few things happen. The first is that it starts telling your body to pump blood faster, produce more oxygen, so you can have much more energy and a lot more adrenaline to be able to either fight or flee from the situation. It also stops some things like the digestive system because you don't really need it in that moment, and it wants to prioritize the things that will ensure that you survive and get out of the dangerous situation. It also kind of numbs, stops your prefrontal cortex, which is the part of your brain that does logical thinking and decision making. And the reason that it does that is that when you're in danger, you need to make a quick decision on what you need to do so that you can get out of the dangerous situation and survive. It doesn't have time for you to be thinking about what you told your friend 3 years ago and how embarrassing it was and why it matters now. We ain't got time for that, okay? We need to make a quick decision. I lost a little floofy on my mic. Oh no, it's right here. What am I talking about? Okay, never mind. The amygdala is actually one of the first things that develops in your brain because it really is like a basic instinct that we as humans need to have because we need to survive. So unlike the prefrontal cortex, which takes a lot more time, the amygdala is one of the first things that gets developed even from when you're a baby. So when your amygdala gets triggered and it starts stopping things and starting things and making things work even harder, different things happen in your body. And these are called symptoms of a panic attack, or you can interpret this as what you will feel when you have a panic attack. First part of a panic attack is that you kind of feel like you're gonna die. Like this is a mental thing. You think that you're gonna die, again, because this is the fight, flight, or freeze instinct. And so your brain is kind of assessing the situation as you might die. The physical symptoms of a panic attack can be a racing heart, sweaty palms, sweaty feet, tingling and numbness in different parts of the body, headaches, stomach aches, vomiting, and needing to use the bathroom a lot. Those are kind of the main symptoms of a panic attack, and of course there are other types of symptoms that you might feel in your body. It kind of depends on the person. In terms of panic attack treatment, I have already made a video that is titled How to Survive a Panic Attack, and in that video I talk about how you can get through a panic attack and what you can do to help yourself. So I'm not really going to go into panic attack treatment in this video specifically. If you're interested in that, you can click on the video. I'll put it somewhere on the screen and you can go check that out. And now I'm kind of going to go over a few different typical questions I often hear when it comes to panic attacks. How long can a panic attack last for? Can I die from a panic attack? Are panic attacks dangerous? Is a panic attack and an anxiety attack the same thing? I'm about to tell you. Panic attacks can last in full for 30 minutes max. Now, you can have anxiety before the panic attack and after the panic attack, but the actual panic attack can only last up to 30 minutes max. The reason that they can only last 30 minutes is because panic attacks are draining on the body. And so you cannot maintain that level of intensity in your body for that long. And also, if you think about it, ideally within 30 minutes, you would have either been eaten by that bear that we talked about earlier, fled, or fought it. So kind of in the fight, flight, or freeze instinct, ideally within 30 minutes, you would have figured the situation out by now. And no, you cannot die from a panic attack. It has never happened. The reason that people worry about this and think about this is because you actually feel like you're dying when you're having a panic attack. A lot of times people actually think that they're having a heart attack and go to the hospital only to be told that they're actually only experiencing a panic attack. So no, you can't actually die from a panic attack no matter how much you think that you are going to. A panic attack is not the same as an anxiety attack. I already made a post about this, which I will put in the description box below, and I kind of go very into detail about the difference between a panic attack and an anxiety attack. A quick summary is basically just that an anxiety attack and a panic attack stem from different things, and the symptoms that you feel for both are slightly different from one another, although they are similar. And now, are panic attacks dangerous? This is a tricky question. It's kind of a yes and no question. Technically, no, you can't die from a panic attack, so they're not dangerous in the sense of you're going to die if you have one. However, extended periods of the intense feelings that you have when you have a panic attack and very severe anxiety from panic attacks can actually cause some harm. Chronic panic attacks and chronic anxiety can have a severe impact on your body. And it kind of makes a lot of sense. I mean, imagine having that intensive feeling a bunch of times during the day. It's really going to impact your body. You're going to feel a lot more tired. You might have some issues with your heart, your breathing. It can impact your physical body. It just can't kill you. That's about it for this week's topic. My name is Sveti, this here is Cookie, and if you liked that video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I post all kinds of mental health related content, and click the little bell button because it'll let you know when I upload. Otherwise, you might miss my videos. That is it from us. If you're watching this in the morning, I hope you have a great day. If you're watching this at night, I hope they have a restful sleep, and bye from us. Oh, she's out. She's like, Mom, I'm over this. I just want to sleep. I ain't got time for your crap. Fair. Oh, who loves butt scratchies? Who loves butt scratchies? Oh, butt scratchies, yes.